Bitcoin is in a bit of a tricky situation right now. We really have to look at what's going to happen next, and I'm going to make a few predictions here because we are being supported, of course, by this exact line here at approximately $75,000. For the people who are new, we are of course in a bear flag. We are in a bear market right now. Bitcoin is going down. I expect it to go down further. The previous bear flag broke to the downside. We are now starting the downtrend, and eventually we will break down, of course, also, but we never go down a straight line. And right now this level is acting as strong resistance, and we can see initial signs that we have been supported not exactly at this level but a bit higher. And one potential scenario that I discussed yesterday is that we can be forming something that is called a head and shoulders pattern, whereby we go in this way. We create a shoulder, a head and a shoulder, and they trade along a neckline, and then we go further down. That could be happening. And one thing I want to highlight here, obviously we've been supported always by the 200 simple daily moving average, which is this orange line. And I can show this to you guys here as well. It has acted as previous resistance in a bear market. Also last bear market here as previous resistance. The bear market before has acted as previous resistance. And of course, over time, as Bitcoin's price is going down, and this was highlighted to me in the comments, so thank you. Of course, the average price line, the 200 SMA, will also go down. So I just drew it out here. What could be happening if Bitcoin keeps going down, the 200 average daily price will go down, and it could act as another form of resistance. So we could be going up here, potentially going a bit down, but then getting rejected at a lower price here, where we touched the 200 simple daily moving average, which is at approximately $79,000. Why did I say 79? Because we have an open CME gap. And these are the gaps that are formed over the weekend for Bitcoin, and they mostly get filled. And the gap is exactly at $79,000. So that is a potential target for us to go to. But let me follow this plan properly. So I'm jumping right and left. So Bitcoin, of course, is right now, looks like we're being supported. It could go further down a bit more because we have some liquidity below us. I want to show you the liquidation heat map right here. 1 second, the liquidation heat map. We have some liquidity below us, which has not been grabbed. So we started going up here. But of course, we'll always add more and more liquidity to the downside. We'll eventually grab it. But right now we can see most of the liquidity is to the top side. And therefore, I think we have a high chance that we go a bit higher before we go to the downside. Bitcoin, of course, here has been previously rejected from this major line of resistance at around $79,000, which I've just mentioned also could be acting as another form of resistance if I draw it out a bit more. And it has been rejected here, and it has also then eventually broken through, but then broken down again. So like I said, what I think could happen is that we go back to the $79,000 region, which is also the CME gap, which is also potentially the new resistance at the 200 simple daily moving average, and then go down. But looking at Bitcoin, one thing I need to highlight here, for us to confirm a downtrend, we have to have a lower low. And right now we have created a higher low. So the previous low was right here. I drew it out for you. And the current low, if this was the low of this price movement, it is higher than the previous low, which is of course a bullish scenario. In a bullish scenario, we create higher lows and higher highs. In a bearish scenario, we create lower lows and lower highs. So what I want to be seeing is for us to be eventually creating a lower low, which is lower than the previous low, and that is confirming that we are continuing or starting a downtrend, because right now this could just be a continuation of an uptrend, in which case, if this is the case, we have a lot of liquidity here above 80,000, like around $85,000, which could be hit still. And I've kept mentioning this, and I'm very worried if we don't hit it, because it's a big liquidation cluster, and that is laying at this CME gap. So this is a previous CME gap as well, right here, 30th of January. And that is at $84,000. And therefore, I think we could be potentially going there if we do not create a lower low. So that is that. If we look here at the hyperliquid liquidation map, we can see there's a lot of long liquidations that are going to be liquidated at about $74,000. And then if we go here to the short liquidations, there's a lot that will be liquidated at around 100,000, which is, of course, I don't think we're going to go there, but this just suggests that we might see a dip to 74 again, and that's why I drew it out like this. We might see a small correction before then going up higher, grabbing that liquidity. But like I said, I can't predict exactly. It's a tricky situation. I can't predict exactly where we're going to go in the next few days. I just know that eventually we're going to go down. We're in a bear market. We're clearly in a bear flag here, which has a target way below at around $50,000. And therefore I am short. If we go higher, I am just going to add to my short positions, and I'm okay with us going higher. Of course, the 200 SMA will act as resistance, hopefully. And my take, we're in a bear market, we're going lower. I can just show you guys what I can see on the charts here. And we can also see that interest in crypto is extremely low. So this is just Google search interest for crypto in general. And we can see how low it is right now, comparing it to the last couple of months. Of course, we're in a bear market, so there's not much interest. And interest will pick up again later this year when Bitcoin's price is going up. And that's usually when interest is low, price is low, and that's a good time to buy. But we should wait a bit more. And then when interest picks up, it might actually be too late even. I think once interest picks up, Bitcoin will have already started going up. And one thing I want to highlight here is that in a bear market, we usually never have more than 2 consecutive green months. So the Bitcoin's price never goes up more than 2 months in a row in a bear market. So we had 2026. Right now, May is 1.61%. They say sell in May and go away. Traditional markets usually don't perform that well. And also for Bitcoin, if we go to the last bear market, so we go 4 years back, 2022, we had 2 consecutive green months. If we go 4 years back again, we had only 1 green month and not 2 months in a row. And if you go back even 4 years before that, so 2014, there was also no more than 2 consecutive green months. So I still think May is going to be negative. We are like almost the end of May. It's like 20th of May right now. So you still have a few days left. And let's go a bit into geopolitical news. So Trump has said that they're in the final stages of a peace deal with Iran. As a result, oil is dumped below $97 per barrel. We can see this also here. Crude oil dumping, of course, after the announcement of Trump saying that we're in the final stages. Thing is, tomorrow he can say something else and then it will pump again. So it's a very volatile asset to be trading. All I know is that oil should be around $70. And as long as it's above that, inflation will just keep on skyrocketing. And it's not a level where it should be, really. So the next thing is tomorrow, actually in I think 2 hours. So at the end of the trading day, once the markets in the US close, Nvidia is going to be announcing their Q1 earnings. And for the earnings, the expectation is actually that they will have $78.8 billion for the quarter for Q1. And that is a massive expectation. If we look at, and they're the largest company by market cap, $5.4 trillion, looking at the last earnings for Nvidia, we can see how much it has really skyrocketed over the last quarters. And of course, initially it was gaming, they made a lot of money from gaming, but now gaming is just making a very small portion of their revenue, and most of it is of course data centers and AI through the AI bubble and the AI boom. And if the earnings are below expectations, I think we could see a larger correction in the S&P, because the S&P is mostly driven right now by, of course, the AI bubble. Also, I want to just highlight the impact the Nvidia earnings have on the market. So looking here, this is the S&P 500, and we can see that the last time we had earnings reports, the S&P dumped, even though we had, of course, positive earnings reports. The time before that, the markets pumped. So let's see how the earnings come out. But if the earnings come out, we can expect a larger move in the S&P 500. And that will be literally in 2-3 hours. Also, OpenAI prepares to file for an IPO in the coming days or weeks. And now let's go back into Bitcoin. I mentioned the CME gap. I mentioned we have a CME gap here at $79,000 and one at $84,000. And finally, just broader, of course, we have the 200 simple daily moving average, which is acting as resistance. I mentioned that. And the time when I will be buying is somewhere in October, maybe potentially a bit earlier than that, just to make sure. But anywhere below the 4-year average price, which is here, the 200 weekly simple moving average line. So this is the average price for the last 4 years, the red line. Historically, if you bought somewhere around that line or just below that line, you'd be buying at pretty good levels. So this level is right now at approximately $62,000, and I expect it to go a bit higher. Personally, I think if you buy around $55,000 this cycle, you'll be doing good. And just to summarize, Bitcoin is in a tricky situation. I cannot really predict what's going to happen next, but all I know is that there's a lot of liquidity above us, there's some below us, and there is the 200 simple daily moving average, which can act as strong resistance. Personally, I think we can go up here over the next couple of days, but then we will see a rejection again. If we break through, we'll go to $84,000. If not, we'll get rejected and go further down. And that's it. Hope you guys stay sharp. See you tomorrow. Bye.